All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tear into this fascinating report from Industrialfonden. It's basically a roadmap for some of the most groundbreaking tech you can imagine, and it's all happening in Sweden.
Okay, so first things first. We keep hearing this term deep tech, but what does it actually mean? Let's kick things off with a question to get us on the same page. I want you to think for a second about technology that doesn't just, make your phone a little faster. We're talking about stuff that completely rewrites the rules. Innovations that honestly sound like they're ripped straight from a sci-fi movie.
Yep, you guessed it. That's deep tech. This isn't about the next social media app or a slicker website. No, this is the heavy stuff. We're talking about fundamental, scientific breakthroughs that solve problems we used to think were impossible.
And look, this isn't just a bunch of ideas on a whiteboard. These are real companies, right now in Sweden, doing incredible things. You've got companies like Enchantia, who are totally changing the game for electric boats, and Yangi, who are creating these amazing new sustainable packaging materials. These guys are really on the front lines.
All right, so now we get what deep tech is. But is it just a niche thing? Not at all. Let's look at the momentum behind it, because the numbers, well, they tell a really interesting story about where the money is flowing.
So first, let's set the scene. The whole venture capital world has been kind of shaky lately, right? After that huge boom, things got tight, and investors have been way more cautious. Funding is nowhere near what it was at its peak.
But here's where it gets crazy. Even with everyone being so careful, deep tech startups are pulling in 20% of all the venture capital money. That's not a small piece of the pie, that's a huge slice.
And it's not just about the total cash either. If you look at the number of actual investment deals getting done, deep tech accounts for 27% of them. That's more than 1 in every 4 deals since 2023. Wild. So, just think about that for a second. That 20% figure means that for every $5 an investor puts to work, 1 of them is going into deep tech. In a market this tight, that's a massive vote of confidence. It shows this isn't just hype, it's seen as a really solid bet.
And here's maybe the most important number of all. Over half of those deals, they're for late-stage companies. Now, why does that matter? It means we're past the point of just funding cool science experiments. We're now helping proven, successful companies get huge.
But, and there's always a but, right? All this success, all this growth has actually created a brand new problem. And it's a big one, the kind of problem that could seriously slow the whole thing down. Here's the crux of it. As these companies get bigger, they need way more money. We're talking about the really big checks. But the investors who write those checks have been scratching their heads because, well, a deep tech company doesn't look or act like a typical startup. The old rules just don't apply.
I love this analogy. Think about it. Judging a software startup is a bit like tasting a cake, right? You know pretty fast if it works and if you like it. But deep tech, that's like trying to evaluate the blueprint for a brand new type of oven before it's even built. It's way more complex, the payoff is further down the road, and you need a totally different way to measure its potential.
So how do you fix that disconnect? Well, this is where the report gets really brilliant. It lays out a simple, elegant solution. A new way for everyone, the founders building this stuff and the investors funding it, to finally get on the same page. It's called the Value Creation Roadmap, and it's basically a simple framework that looks at progress across 4 key areas. First, the tech itself. Is the science solid? Second, the commercial side. Is anyone going to buy this? Third, the money. Is the capital strategy smart? And fourth, the team. Are these the right people to make it happen? And what's so great about this roadmap is that it works for everybody. For investors, it gives them the confidence to write those big checks because they finally have a way to measure progress. And for the founders, it's like a guide, a clear path to follow on that incredibly long and difficult journey from a lab discovery to a real global company.
So what happens when you put a system like this in place? Well, you unlock the future. You start building a much stronger ecosystem that can support the next huge wave of innovation.
And we're already seeing it happen. This new sense of clarity is pulling in the right kind of money, specialized investors who get it. You're seeing new funds pop up, like Jolt Capital or the 55 North Quantum Fund, who have the expertise and, just as importantly, the patience that this kind of tech really needs.
And this whole push is being led by a lot of experienced folks, especially Industrialfonden, the people behind this report. I mean, these guys have been in the game since 1979, backing incredible technology. They know what it takes to build industries that can literally transform the world.
So when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway? This roadmap, it's about so much more than just funding companies.
By creating a clear, understandable language for investment, it's actually building the foundation for our future. The question we should be asking ourselves isn't if this technology will change our world. The real question is, how do we get behind it and make it happen even faster?